Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. It is fitting that this 29th COP should take place here in this beautiful city of Baku, standing as it does the sentinel between East and West doorway, between the global North and the global South, a bridge between the ancient, the modern, and indeed the future, with the majestic Caucasus Mountains behind us, reminding us of the heights that we must now scale in order to be successful in this process. We are in the midst of a climate crisis. We are in a season of superlatives. And the reality is that these extreme weather events that the world is facing daily suggest that humanity and the planet are hurtling towards catastrophe. The extreme weather requires from us a serious commitment at this COP with respect to new collective quantified goals that enable us to reverse the current trajectory and to fund mitigation, adaptation, and of course loss and damage. This commitment must encompass 7 critical elements. 1, the proper capitalization of the Loss and Damage Fund, and indeed the capitalization of the dedicated SIDS window in the GEF's Special Climate Change Fund. The latter remains unfunded, and the first underfunded. The reality is that the Loss and Damage Fund has only attracted $700 million, and this is despite the numerous crises besetting small island developing states, and indeed in our own region, Hurricane Beryl, which has caused serious damage to countries from housing to public infrastructure, and indeed from agriculture to fisheries in my own country. Secondly, proper capitalization of developing countries must also include and have access to cheaper, longer-term capital in circumstances where they can scale up investments for adaptation. Thirdly, the economic noose of tightening the fiscal space must be loosened by adopting the principles, in our view, of Bridgetown Initiative 3.0 through the delivery of urgently needed financial reforms. We must change the rules of the game, shock-proof vulnerable economies, and indeed review debt sustainability while at the same time augmenting resources. Fourthly, rich countries must deliver on their commitments. We must ensure time and again that the commitments made, whether for 0.7% of GNI or indeed the $100 billion or recently the $30 billion with respect to biodiversity, that these are met. We must have transparency and accountability on the part of everyone. Fifthly, we must agree in principle that developed countries and carbon producers can, in fact, along with others who are willing, help us find new money to augment the resources. We accept that the current commitments with public money may not be sufficient, and therefore we need to consider levies, as the Global Solidarity Levies Committee and Coalition is seeking to do. If we put a $5 per ton on CO2 for fossil fuel extraction, we can raise $210 billion a year. If we put $100 per ton on CO2 for shipping, we can raise in excess of $80 billion a year. And we've not addressed aviation or indeed the elephant in the room, a 0.1% levy on all bonds and stocks that can raise us in excess of $400 billion. Sixthly, we need to deal with methane. Methane is responsible for 45% of current global warming and is 80 times as devilish as CO2 with respect to warming the planet. This makes it mitigation of methane the most effective way to slow the rate of warming in our world. And I trust and pray that we can have a global methane agreement, as Pope Francis led the call earlier this year for us to see a parallel track to decarbonization. Finally, we need high-integrity carbon markets to ensure that there is fairness, and that we need a universal carbon pricing mechanism to remove the disparity between countries in the North and South. My friends, every COP must make progress irrespective of the geopolitical dynamics. There is an urgent need to reform this COP process, and I hope that we can meet that as we go forward. As we leave this city of winds and land of fire, may we ensure that our ambitions are not only high, but our actions mimic the ambitions which we have, if we are to ensure that our people are not to be the victims of this awful climate crisis. Thank you.